Picture this. You're a walking inferno, obliterating everything in your path with waves of solar energy while locking down the battlefield with suspensions. This Titan build is all about one thing: spamming your class ability to trigger not one, but two devastating effects: Khepri's Horn's Solar Blast and Drengr's Lash's Suspending Ripple. The result? Non-stop explosions, battlefield control, and absolute chaos for your enemies. And that's before we even get into the weapons. If you want to melt everything in sight while making enemies float helplessly, stick around, because this build is about to change the way you play Titan. Welcome to Insightful Gaming. If you love game-breaking builds like this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Destiny 2 content. Now, let's dive into what makes this build so powerful. At the core of this build is Khepri's Horn, an exotic helmet that turns your barricade into a weapon of mass destruction. Its Solar Rampart perk sends out a scorching wave of solar energy every time you drop your barricade, damaging and igniting enemies caught in its path. But that's not all. Solar Final Blows recharge your barricade even faster, letting you keep the cycle going with minimal downtime. Pair this with Drengr's Lash, which adds even more power to your class ability. Every time you activate your barricade, it sends a ripple of energy forward, suspending enemies in its path. The synergy between these two effects is ridiculous. Khepri's Horn wipes out weaker enemies while Drengr's Lash locks down anything that survives, leaving them completely vulnerable for follow-up attacks. Whether you're clearing rooms or controlling choke points, this combo ensures your enemies are either burning or completely helpless. The best part? This loop is nearly endless thanks to Solar Final Blows reducing barricade cooldown and Fragments that speed up ability regeneration. Keep dropping your barricade, keep the explosions rolling, and watch as everything around you either burns to ashes or floats helplessly in the air. Now let's talk weapons, because this build isn't just about ability spam, it's about raw, overwhelming firepower. For our primary weapon, we're running Vex Mythoclast, and right now, this thing is shredding in the current season. With particle reconstruction available in the artifact, sustained damage with fusion rifles partially refills the magazine and grants a stacking damage buff. Simply put, Vex Mythoclast already hits hard, but with this bonus, it becomes an absolute monster, dishing out insane sustained DPS. For our heavy weapon, we're using Hezen Vengeance, a time-lost rocket launcher that comes with Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch. Envious Arsenal refills the mag when dealing damage with other weapons, and Bait and Switch grants a massive damage buff when you land hits with all equipped weapons. To round things out, our kinetic slot features Praedyth's Revenge, Time Lost, which rolls with kinetic tremors and Bait and Switch. Next, let's quickly talk about our aspects. Our aspects tie everything together, fueling both damage and crowd control. Consecration lets us turn our melee into a deadly two-part slam. First, sending out a scorching wave while sliding, then following up with an airborne explosion that ignites enemies. This adds even more firepower to our build and keeps the Scorch chain rolling. Drengr's Lash is what makes this build so oppressive, sending out a suspending ripple whenever we activate our barricade. This locks enemies in place, making them easy targets for our weapons and solar explosions. Together, these aspects ensure every fight is either filled with burning enemies or helpless ones floating in mid-air. Our fragment choices are carefully picked to keep the loop going, maximizing damage, survivability, and ability uptime. Facet of Dawn ensures every powered melee hit makes us radiant, increasing weapon damage for a short time. Since we're running Frenzied Blade with 2 charges, we can easily keep this buff active, making our weapons hit even harder. Facet of Sacrifice provides Darkness Transcendence energy whenever we get ability Final Blows while we have an Arc, Solar, or Void buff active. Since we're constantly triggering Radiant and other buffs, this means we're passively generating extra energy for Transcendence, further amplifying our abilities when it's fully charged. Facet of Balance rewards rapid light damage kills with melee energy and darkness damage kills with grenade energy. Since Consecration and Thermite grenades deal massive light-based damage while also triggering ignitions, we'll be regenerating our melee and grenade abilities at an insane rate. Facet of Hope boosts class ability regeneration, while we have an elemental buff. Because Radiant is constantly active and we're applying restoration from Orbs of Power with Facet of Purpose, this fragment ensures our Barricade is always coming back fast. Facet of Protection increases damage resistance when surrounded, perfect for staying alive in high-density encounters. When we activate Darkness Transcendence, this effect becomes even stronger, making us nearly unkillable in the middle of a fight. Facet of Purpose grants restoration when picking up Orbs of Power, giving us passive healing alongside our explosive gameplay. Since we're generating orbs through our mods and weapon kills, this keeps us topped off and harder to kill. To keep this build running at full power, we're using armor mods that maximize ability uptime, orb generation, and damage output. On the helmet, Dynamo reduces super cooldown when using class ability near enemies. Harmonic Siphon generates Orbs of Power from solar weapon multi-kills. And Heavy Ammo Finder boosts heavy weapon drops for consistent burst damage. For arms, Bolstering Detonation grants class ability energy when grenades hit enemies, and Heavy-Handed generates orbs on powered melee kills. This ensures our Barricade is always coming back fast. Our chest piece runs Charged Up for extra armor charge stacks, plus 2 defensive mods to increase survivability in high-end content. For legs, Triple Solar Surge ensures we're gaining a weapon damage boost whenever we pick up orbs, stacking even more firepower with Radiant. Finally, on the class item, Bomber reduces grenade cooldown when using our Barricade. Distribution provides overall ability energy when using class ability near enemies, and Time Dilation extends the duration of armor charge effects, keeping our damage buffs active longer. These mods ensure we're cycling Barricade, grenades, and melees at a ridiculous pace while constantly staying buffed and well-equipped for any fight. This build thrives on an endless feedback loop of abilities, crowd control, and explosive damage. Here's how it all comes together. Drop your Barricade. This instantly sends out a solar wave from Khepri's horn, scorching and igniting enemies, while Drengr's Lash suspends anything in its path. Follow up with thermite grenades, which spread fire in a straight line, further scorching enemies and triggering ignitions. Thanks to Bolstering Detonation and Bomber, this refunds class ability energy, getting Barricade back even faster. When enemies survive, dive in with Consecration, slide to release a solar wave, then follow up with an airborne slam to ignite everything. This constant loop of Barricades, solar ignitions, and suspensions means you're always dealing AoE damage, keeping enemies crowd controlled and recharging abilities instantly. It's an unstoppable cycle of destruction and sustain that keeps you in the fight at all times. This build melts endgame content. Barricades, ignitions, and suspensions keep enemies helpless while you unleash insane DPS. Stay aggressive, drop Barricades constantly, and chain abilities for endless destruction. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe for more game-breaking Destiny 2 builds. See you in the next one, Guardian!